I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I work across the mediums of performance, film, and video. And my work generally deals with history, past and present and future, the way that we embody history and carry it through our bodies, specifically focusing on queer and feminist politics. My roots are really very much in this kind of queer punk DIY culture where community is essentially at the heart of productivity. I have been the Goethe Institute artist in residence at the LUX. The LUX is the largest experimental moving image archive, I should say specifically archive for artist films in the UK. I have been here for 3 months conducting a bunch of research regarding my in-progress first feature film, Foxes. Foxes is dealing with the issues of climate change, environmentalism, future, and also queer perspective and queer histories. And so through various different events, I've been talking about my work and also kind of presenting a bunch of different kinds of experiments, which is what's been so great about being in residence, that is relating to foxes. I've decided to specifically focus on nature and climate change as one of the politics in my current work, and in particular I'm very interested in drawing kind of the point at which we are at with climate change. I mean, I actually really started thinking about this a couple of years ago before climate change became such an international and pressing world politic. Not that it wasn't, but I mean it's really kind of heightened in the last year, which is really interesting in the ways that it has and horrifying. But I was thinking a lot about how nature inherits trauma, if nature inherits trauma through its cycles, and try to also sort of connect that to how queer trauma is inherited through non-blood related family, which we would call found family, but then also start to connect that to the early dissemination of information during the AIDS crisis and the ways in which queer people galvanized together to start to understand what was happening and how this genocide was, how and why this genocide was affecting queer people specifically. But then interestingly enough, you could bring it back to this topic of blood and DNA as well. So those are the questions that I've been diving into, reading a lot and thinking a lot about during this residency. So I always say that I sort of went to Germany with this idea of finding a different Jewish diaspora I never knew, but in fact what I found was a queer diaspora, or a new queer diaspora I should say, which is this intersection of international artists and thinkers and creative people who all came together under the identity of queerness and feminism and those politics which brought us together. I can't even track, to be honest, how I got to where I am now, but I guess I did move to Berlin with an intention of understanding something about myself, which is definitely what I've done through the film and performance work that I've made since I've been there. I think the first thing that really struck me about Berlin was how transparent it is as a city in terms of politics and the history that it's gone through. Definitely, I think moving to Berlin was a big life-changing, artistically life-changing experience because it showed me that I still had an artistic life, actually. That people, it was the first time I ever experienced people wanting to support each other as artists without any kind of monetary or personal interest other than receiving that support back in terms of making things, sharing things. And it's because of this time. And I guess, you know, of course things change, and it was probably also, I was younger, it was 10 years ago almost now, but I spent those years building up this community and making my work and helping to make the work of other people so that we actually have some kind of currency of our own to hold on to and to put out into the world, and to open up opportunities like this one.